Good afternoon, everyone. It's Penny and Amanda here from FCSS. Back once again with our hashtag Teen Tween Talk Tuesdays. So we are going to talk today about disrespectful language or back talking. Or this is a question I hear lots and that I deal with, and I'm sure every parent on the face of the planet deals with at some point with their emerging adult, is the idea of tone and talking back and disrespect. So we thought we would just jump into this a little bit because it's very pertinent. And one of the things we talked about earlier was modeling. So lots of ideas about modeling. And with our top 10 tips from Triple P, they even talked about sort of those ideas around regulating yourself and modeling. So how do you talk to your teen? Basically, when you're upset, you might want to take a step back and start to notice your tone of voice. No, is it sharp? Is it louder? Is it aggressive? They learn what they see and not what they hear. Well, I guess they hear it, but you can tell them to be respectful when they speak with you. And if they hear you being disrespectful to them or to other people, those are the things they're going to learn. And we talked to you about specifically what does that mean. So when you say that they're back talking or they're speaking disrespectfully, you might want to nail that down a little bit because the word disrespectful is quite vague. So in your family, you'll have ideas and morals and even rules maybe. And I'm going to let Amanda talk a little bit about family meetings and stuff, but sort of really nailing down, okay, does that mean that we want a tone of voice that is gentle? Do we want volume at a certain, like what does a respectful conversation look like? Taking into consideration their age and their ability to regulate themselves and dealing with emotions behind. I mean, that's a huge topic, but let's let Amanda talk a little bit about like setting those parameters in family meetings. Yeah.
All right, no problem. So yeah, family meetings, it can be so useful, right? A lot of times I think we're almost scared of family meetings because we're scared to bring up certain points. We're scared of what our kids are gonna and how they're gonna react, right? If it's even gonna happen or work. I know parents who are defeated before they even start, right? Because they're just like anticipating the worst when it comes to things like that. But family meetings don't just have to be like, oh, we're going to sit around the table, we're going to talk about X topic, right? You can do so many different things to create that conversation, as we talk about with disrespectful behavior or respect, right? And so one of the things I was just thinking about, use it as a game. So I know there's like a couple different games out there. Telestrations is a good one. Telephone on paper also is a good one. So put that out there, right? Like write respect on the middle of the table, give everybody some sticky notes and be like, all right, let's write 5 things that we feel like respect is, or what disrespectfulness looks like. And then stick them on the table all at the same time, kind of like spoons, except for you're sticking them on instead of pulling them off. And then start looking at the similarities amongst the room, because even though we don't talk about things, I bet you there's going to be a lot of similarities, right? Because we all kind of, there's like a bit of a moral code, and that depends on your family for sure. But yeah, everybody, and then you can have those conversations, I guess that's what I'm saying, right? So start those conversations. If you don't want to start quite that heavy, right, do some would you rather questions, right? So like, would you rather, oh man, I can't even think of a respect one right now, but it'll come to me. So would you rather, or dinner and dialogue, right? So doing questions on 6 or in a jar, and you just pull them out and they could look like what emotion would you feel if I told you you weren't allowed to go to a party? Or How does it make you feel when everybody's talking over one another? What do restrictions look like in this house to you? And those things aren't as in your face, right? It's not going to cause as much defensiveness, because you're just kind of having fun, right? Throw some obviously fun ones in there too, right? But yeah, so family meetings don't have to be the sit around the table, have the contracts, do the things. Everybody has to make promises. Family meetings can look however you want it to look, in your families. And I know one of the courses that we run, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. And so that's a really good course, if anybody's looking to sign up for that. That really talks about those family, have a family mission statement. What are your values? What happens when this is going on, right? And Penny and I talked about humor and how important humor is, right? And so where can you take that? Where's too far with your kids, or where do you need to kind of step out of your comfort zone a little bit to just be like, nope, I'm not doing this, I'm out, right? Because sometimes it's really easy to give up and just feel like that's okay. And talking about triggers, I guess, is an important thing too. But before you can talk about triggers, you have to recognize your triggers, right? And so I think we talked lots last time through the 10 tips, as well as the hashtag Teen Tween Talk Tuesdays, about, reacting, and responding and making sure that we're sharing in the calm, not the chaos, right? And so all of those things are very important when we talk about tone and attitude, and us feeling like we're being disrespected.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, the triggers, because often, and you've mentioned this before too, is that if you say, you're being disrespectful, they'll have no idea what you're talking about. Well, no, I'm not. And so and that's pretty human that we don't always hear our own tone.
Mm-hmm.
Like even between grown-ups, there can be, and I've noticed this a little bit, this is sort of my observation, is men and women, typically, women pick up on tone, or highly sensitive people maybe even, but well, you've got a tone, and they'd be like, no, I don't have a tone. What are you talking about? They don't hear it, and they don't mean anything by it, so it's not a tone to them. But to me, I'm hearing a tone because something about what they're saying is triggering something in me. So I'm assuming that the tone means something. And that's what we do with our teens or tweens, is we assume that the tone means something.
Mm-hmm.
And just asking, I'm hearing this sharp tone. What's up with that? It doesn't have to be an accusation. It's just, this is what I'm hearing. What is it you're trying to communicate to me? And the humor and all of that. But I think it all just boils down to what you said, Amanda, which is noticing your own triggers and dialing it back a bit. Don't go in guns blazing and you're disrespectful and rude because they feel attacked, because in their minds, and in my experience, most often when they are being rude, when you come in from a different angle, they can see that, and then they're more willing to step up and say, oh yeah, you know what, that wasn't cool, sorry about that. Whereas if you're in there, like, they're not going to go there.
And really continuing those conversations, right? And those conversations aren't easy either, right? So but owning it yourself, right? I statements, right? I feel annoyed when I hear that tone. What can we do to fix it, or move on from it, or learn from it, right? So utilizing, not instantly blaming them, like, you just used that tone with me and I can't handle that, and now you're gonna go sit in your room for an hour so I can cool off, right? Like, just making sure that you're not hitting the defense button right away.
And having those rules in place too can be helpful. If your rule is that we talk in a kind tone or whatever it is. So I know that in our house we speak kindly to one another. So something must really be going on because you're having a hard time doing that. Do you want to tell me about what's going on? Because that's usually for everyone what tone is about, is that there's something going on for us and we're struggling to express it in a way that's appropriate. So we all struggle with that. So just hey, I'm hearing you're struggling from somebody. feels good, and we can maybe then, okay, take that breath. Again, huge topic. We could go on for hours, but we won't. So next week, same thing. We'll come in with a question we've gotten from parents, and we will talk a little bit about that. So this week, we're going to give you a bit of a challenge and an invite. Start noticing how you're reacting to tone, and start maybe thinking about having some dinner time conversations about what does talking respectfully look like in our family, and how can I model that when I'm frustrated and want to snap.
Yeah. Just a final thought. The feedback is bad. Just a final thought that each one of your kids will probably have to be approached very differently. So, you know, family meetings are great around the table, but knowing that every person, every one of your teens or tweens has their own way that they need to handle things is very important as well.
Yeah, group and individual. And you're the experts on your kids, so you know what they'll need.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week, Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Thanks, everyone.